So up first, we are joined by Basin Energy with the ASX ticker code BSN, a uranium explorer with projects in the Athabasca Basin of Canada. The company listed on the ASX this week after raising $9 million. To tell us more, today I am joined by Managing Director, Pete Moorhouse. Good morning, Pete.
Good morning, Jane, and good morning, everybody. Thanks a lot, Broker Briefing, for having us on today. It's great to be here to present the opportunity of Basin and give you a little bit of an update on the company and our plans for the coming few months. So Jane provided a quick overview there of Basin, but Basin is freshly formed ASX listing, ticker code BSN. We went live at the start of this week, trading on the ASX. The company holds interests in assets in the Athabasca. We've got 3 projects which we are earning into through our joint venture partner, Canalaska, and provides investors with an opportunity to invest in pure play uranium exploration in one of the leading jurisdictions and environments for uranium mineralization globally. So without further ado, we'll step into the presentation. We have our competence persons and our disclaimer. I advise you all to take a look at the website and have a look at that, and we'll go into the main body of the presentation. So why invest in Basin Energy? Now, this can be summarized, in my opinion, in 3 key points. Those points are the projects, the people and the relationships involved in the company, and the commodity and timing. We'll dig a little bit deeper into that and provide you with a little bit of an overview as to why we believe that. For the projects, the jurisdiction we're operating in is the heartland of uranium production. We're in Saskatchewan in northern Canada, which is continually ranked in the top few for the Fraser Institute Attractiveness for Mining Investment Index. It is a jurisdiction which has had an operating uranium mining industry for some 65 years and has been continually in the top 35 years, has been one of the top 3 producers. And the projects are all nearby to existing infrastructure. So this is not an area which is it's a developing industry. This is an industry which is well understood with a clear framework for exploring. The projects, so that's jurisdiction. We can look at technical as well. We've got the right geology. We're near metal. All of our opportunities are nearby to existing resources and resisting mines. And importantly, the exploration strategies are well defined and well understood. We're not looking at super conceptual ideas here. This area has been explored. Our areas have not, but they have a strategy in place which is gated with clear pathways to reach exploration success. So that was our projects point. People and relationships. Now, we have a board in place of highly experienced executives from the uranium sector, so specifically the junior sector, and that's with a technical and with a corporate background. So that's the board, but critically, and perhaps a differentiator for Basin, is our joint venture partner with Canalaska and what they bring to the table. So Canalaska will be our operator for the first 2 years on the ground. They have been operating in the basin for a considerable period of time. They have in-country team of great expertise. They have access to a formidable database and knowledge of how these systems work, relationships in place with stakeholders, with contractors, and they have recent exploration success. Now, having them on the ground and as part of our team means that we're ready to hit the ground running. There's no impediment on getting exploration happening, so we can move through this quickly. Now, finally, the commodity. We won't go into the uranium market fundamentals today, but we personally believe that the uranium space is a very exciting space to be in for the midterm future here. We believe that uranium and nuclear will play a critical part in the energy mix as we move forward the next few years. And this is only exacerbated by the current instability with the power sector throughout Europe. A little bit of an overview for some of you who may not be familiar with the Athabasca, and to provide why we're so excited about this part of the world and why it continues to be one of the premier places for uranium explorers. Just to start, a very fundamental high-level cross-section there. This shows uranium mineralization stylized against geology. We've got 2 different styles of summarized styles of deposits. We've got what we call unconformity, which is sitting at the unconformity, which is a contact between a sandstone and our basement lithologies. So that's the likes of Cigar Lake, McArthur River, some of the phenomenally big deposits which have been known about for some time now. You know, McArthur River is 675, almost 75 million pounds at almost 17% uranium. These are grades which are rarely seen elsewhere in the world. Cigar Lake, 350 million pounds, just shy of over 15% uranium. So that's sitting at the unconformity between the sandstone and the basement. We also have basement hosted opportunities. Now, some of these have been known about for some time, but a bit more of a spotlight's been brought onto them in recent years, partly due to the success of NextGen Energy, that work at Arrow, sitting on a phenomenal deposit. Great work to have discovered and to be developing that, £300 million at 4.6, and the work at Triple R. So the take-home point for this, two slightly different styles. Basin has opportunities of both unconformity and basement hosted. But what I'd really like people to appreciate is even over the last 12 years, where we've had a relatively slow time in the uranium sector, uranium spot price has been depressed, there's still been some work going on in this part of the world, and we've still achieved exploration success. People have found things. Arrow was discovered, and they provided significant shareholder value. They took the share price from 25 cents, doubled it overnight with the discovery drill hole, and within a couple of years we're sitting at $4. So building companies, turning shareholder value through exploration success. The most recent deposit resource that I'm aware of that's been put out is now one of the highest grade in the world. Still quite small, but will be bigger, I'm sure. The work by ISO Energy at Hurricane, it's almost 50 million pounds of 34.5% uranium, which is again phenomenal sales of mineralization. And then relevant to us, next door to our long strike from our North Millennium and Marshall projects, I'll tell you about in a minute. Athabasca have just had some good success. That's our JV partner. And adjacent to our Geikie project, the work from 92 Energy and Baseload have also had good recent exploration success. So in summary, even a downturn, significant opportunity for returns to shareholders. We believe now we're seeing a much stronger uranium sector. Having the tenure that we have puts us in a very strong position. Thank you. Just a quick geographic overview to see how we sit in relation to some of those major opportunities. North Millennium and Marshall, we're about 7 kilometres from Cameco's Millennium deposit. It's over 100 million pounds, almost 4% uranium, about 40 k's from MacArthur River. So all in the eastern portion of the basin. The Geikie project is just to the eastern fringes, and we're adjacent to the GMZ and AKO recent discoveries. So getting some good hits out of there, 43 metres at 0.6, 31 at 0.9. Pretty exciting part of the world to be in. Traditionally quite overlooked from an exploration perspective for uranium, but we'll tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. So a quick high-level overview of North Millennium, why we're so excited about that and what the plan for that is. We'll touch on Geikie and then we will close it off. So North Millennium, situated 7 k's, as we mentioned, from a phenomenal uranium opportunity. But to understand why we're excited, we have to understand a little bit about Millennium. Millennium is hosted on a northeast basement trending graphitic unit. Now this is shown up in geophysics quite beautifully. EM maps it nicely in a traditional way of exploring for these deposits. The uranium is brought in from a north-south fault. Now Cameco refer to this as their mother fault, and that's what's brought in this 100 million pounds. We believe from the geophysics we've got, we can follow that fault straight north. And where we intersect our tenement area, we find the next northeast trending graphitic basement unit. So this again is mapped out by EM, historic EM. It's quite early stage EM, but we see the same response that you see at Millennium. So quite clearly, that's not a bad place to be. You've got a fault that you know is carrying a lot of mineralization, and you've got a repetition of the base unit that that's hosted in. Add on to that, there's been no drilling in this target or this conductor. To the south, away from the conductor, there's been a little bit of drilling where we see what we call periphery mineralization. We see base metals, nickel, copper, cobalt, a bit of zinc. So we see this as a pretty exciting place to be exploring. Adding even further weight to that, recent exploration success by Athabasca, 9 metres at 2.4%, a long strike to the northeast, makes this a really exciting prospect. And very briefly, Geikie. So Geikie is on the eastern fringes of the basin. Traditionally, not a lot of uranium exploration work. The ground is covered by about 10 or 15 metres of glacial cover, which is enough to mask a big radiometric response. What we do have is some historic geophysics, which shows some beautiful structural settings for potential mineralization. We know we've got the right rock types, which host basement hosted mineralization. And reviewing historic base metal exploration, we find uranium floating around its surface almost 0.25%. Now, add the additional weight of the exploration success in similar geological settings next door at 92 and at Baseload, this becomes a pretty exciting prospect for us. So we've got half a dozen drill targets already identified for here. The company has just flown radiometric and magnetic survey, which we hope to get the results for in the next 24 hours. And we will be doing some further airborne EM later on this year before drilling the program in early Q1 2022. Sorry, it's 2023. So Q1 next year will be our first drilling program, and that will be at Geikie. So we also have the Marshall project, which has similar fundamentals, but I am very conscious of time. In summary, we're a company with exploration assets, all with exploration strategies in place. We're on the ground, we're actively exploring in one of the most phenomenal terrains for uranium mineralization globally, with the team in place to deliver some successful exploration programs. So with that, I think that's my 10 minutes. Thank you very much, Jane.
Hey, thank you so much for the great presentation, and again, congratulations on the recent listing this week. We had a question come through that you actually did just answer, but I might ask it anyway, just in case I've missed it. So with the airborne survey commencing or commenced at Geikie, when are we expecting the results coming through from there?
Yeah, okay, so this was actually flown, we managed to pay this at IPO, so the funds were transferred at IPO, so the data will be released to us in the next 24 hours. We'll want a little bit of time to distill this information, so I'd hope to get news flow out late next week or early the following week with how much that affects our targeting criteria for that area.
Wonderful. And Pete, I know we didn't have time to go through the rest of the projects, but what are you most excited about now that you're listed on the boards?
I mean, these are three phenomenal projects and opportunities in this part of the world. Having this tenure where every exploration opportunity could produce the next McArthur River or the next Cigar Lake is a great position to be in. Line that with where we are on the sector at the moment and the interest that we're seeing in uranium. We're looking forward to moving this forward. Personally, I think that the North Millennium project has got a drill opportunity there, which I can't wait to put a hole in. We need to see what's going on with those geophysical features. And Geikie, from an emerging area, the eastern side of the basin, which, as I said in the Prezo, has traditionally been relatively overlooked, I think will produce the next discovery. I'm hoping it's at Geikie, I'm hoping it's in our tenure, and we'll be doing our best to explore that. But developing that story for these basement-hosted mineralization on the eastern side is pretty exciting.
Well, Pete, yes, exciting times ahead, and we look forward to hearing further updates. But thank you for joining us.
Perfect. Thank you, Jane. Thanks, Broker Briefing.